Well, thank you so much for doing this with me and just showing up and having this little casual conversation. And I know we caught up a little bit before, but do you want to just introduce yourself and your work, and then we can dive in?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Erica, for having me here. I'm kind of excited, I have to say, just to chat with you after such a long time. I feel it's a long time.
It has been.
And my name is Asina, and I have kind of two soul businesses. It's more like two brandings to live my creativity, because I needed these two different parts. But the center of my work is the feminine energy and self-realization, and I help women to overcome fears, and instead of following the fear, following their heart and realize whatever they want to realize, and having the support and the courage to do those steps where everyone maybe says that's impossible. And I do this with different things by now. I have jewelry, which symbols and gemstones, which with the different energies connect you back in a beautiful way to parts you need to go back to. And I also offer coaching by now. I didn't when we started with the program.
Yeah.
So I as well coach women 3 to 6 months. I have a program
Which we created in SBA.
Yes.
I remember when you came, the jewelry part of your business was sort of your main thing when you came into Soul Business Accelerator. And I think you were also holding women's circles, or you were definitely in the space, or new moon circles, maybe it was, but you hadn't really created a coaching program or a container to hold space for women as of yet. So that's what we did for you. And then, we took it out, we launched it, and share just a little bit about sort of where that is and how that has been for you.
Yes. So it's called the Sacred Feminine Power Program, connecting back to the cyclical feminine nature of women. Yes. And I did with you when I was in your program. We created this, and this was like a really intense time in the 3 months. I don't even know, when I look back, how this happened. It was too quick. It was just like too quick.
Yep.
And not even having the intent to create a program, to creating a program, to launching it with 8 women.
Yes, with 8 women, that's right. You had 8 women in your first round. I was so proud of you. So proud of you, because you're somebody who lives very much in the feminine energy, and that's something that we need to be so protective of. And you live and breathe just this and embody this peacefulness and this flow and this beauty and this, you're so true to your word and how you work. And I remember being like, okay, we have to not push her, but we have to like really help support her to bring this program to life in a way that feels really good and really aligned for you. And you did, and you came out with 7 women right away, which I thought, or did you say 8 or 7?
8.
It was 8. So it was 7 in the beginning. I think you messaged me back and you were like, actually it's 8 now.
Could be.
Yeah,
thank you. I think, well, when you said I live in the feminine, I'm pretty sure I feel that you are doing the same, like following your inner voice, even if we create this masculine to hold our businesses.
Yes, we have to. There has to be that part that does come into play to allow us to get things done and to actually create what we want to create and put out into the world, right? There's that balance.
Yeah, and I felt in your program, in Soul Business Accelerator, there was this balance. There was like this balance between where you gave the space for this individual questions and fears and uncertainties, and follow your own voice and what you need to do, but at the same time, like this, like force to create the program. And now I needed a year break after this. Yes. It was like so much energy cultivated in such a short time, and I felt like I needed a lot of space to reflect. But I also did a training in the between time, so there was so much. And now I started the second round in November, and I have now a new group, and I plan to do this time earlier the second round in March or April. And I think the most interesting thing was I remember putting the price point very low.
Yeah.
Because I have my money mindset is in training, I would say.
Yes.
And I offered the program, I think, double or even more than double than I intended at the beginning through you advising me. And now it's the double from the double, like
double from the double.
It's a double from the double. Yeah.
Go, sister. Because you're recognizing that the transformation you're providing for these women, it's not connected to you or your worth, or it's like, this is what they're coming to you for, and the results that you're able to create for them and the transition that you're able to move them through. I mean, really, that's priceless. And that's what our clients pay us for, is not our time. They're not paying us for our wisdom. They're not paying to be here in connection with us. They're paying us for the transformation that we can really take them through, and how is their life going to be different afterwards. And, that, I think, when somebody wants that and has that desire badly enough, it's priceless.
Yes, I have even one woman who's doing the same programs the second time, and like two couldn't, but they want to do it a second time as well, because it's such a deep transformative space. But I also have to say, at the beginning, there is so much work behind it. Yes. So you think it's so much money, but at the same time, you realize, like, I think until you have set it up all like in a proper way, there's so much time and effort behind it as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And we never want to feel, I think, and this too, I'm always of the approach that I know you're probably the same and I'm the same. I would rather actually undercharge than overcharge. I always want to make sure that we're all in our integrity. And I'm not one of those coaches that says, let's create this high ticket program and we're going to charge $10,000 out the gate. I think we really need to start in our comfort zone. And I think our comfort zone is a little bit of a stretch for us, but it's really important that we're not pricing ourselves in a place where we're going to feel resentful, because we're like, oh my God, I'm doing all of this work in this program and for these people, and it's just like draining and exhausting. We need to feel very supported and very abundant, so that we can feel amazing and really, be so embodied in our own work. And we have to be supported financially in order to do so. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so much time you need for nourishing yourself in space. It's not just work you can do, being drained and having no sleep and not being nourished in your soul and in your body. It's like you are the role model in this work, and you have to put like yourself first, and it takes more time than we might have been, I don't know how to say, that we might have think or grown up into, that we believe we need for self-care. And I think there's so much self-care needed to provide this energetic space.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you think it was? What was the shift that you made? And this could be a shift in your business, and while you were creating the program, or this could be a mindset shift or just a shift in your way of being. But when you were in the program, what shifted in you and allowed you to, what was a breakthrough that you had, or what shifted that you were able to then create this program and launch it and start really doing this work in the world?
I think the first thing came into my mind is like the tunnel you created. There was just one choice. Like seriously, I wanted to do so many things, and so I felt so overwhelmed and so helpless. And you just was like, you were like doing this, and I just had to focus on this because you guided me through this, and you said, focus on one thing, focus on this thing. And it was so hard for me to let the things go. Yeah. And really, even if I feared maybe that nobody would come, and I would have maybe distracted me with another project and distracted me with another project. You helped me just to focus on it and burst it through all the struggles and self-doubt and fears. And I think that was the most important thing.
Oh, I love that so much. And you're not alone. So many people come in and it's like, you're almost frantic, trying all of these different things and, having these different offers, or, do I need a group program, or do I need a webinar? Do I need, to be in a masterclass or podcast, or like, what do I do? And we're trying all these things and none of them are really working. And as soon as we put the tunnel vision on and we really focus and we create one offer that is an incredible transformational program, and then we really just work on marketing that one offer, honestly, that's really when people start to get traction, because you have one focus and then we just put in a very specific way to market that. And it's like, you can finally just get rid of all of these things. And then later, once you have traction and you're scaling your business, some of those things can come back in. But if getting traction in your business and really working with clients is a priority, then it's so important to put that tunnel vision on. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it changed so much for me. I think when we talk about it, I realize that I think about it all the time when I have like, I want to do this. I have it all the time. I'm like, no, stay focused, stay with the things you have. Just like get them first into more marketing and more clients. And when this is working, you can create more. So this stayed really with me, I think. And this is really helpful, even if there's so much nice things you could do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, if there were, which there always are, women who are watching this and they're just starting out kind of in your situation, what would be one tip that you would give them? One piece of advice that you would give them?
Follow your intuition. I think it's, for me, the biggest one. Like, this little voice, doesn't matter how irrational it is, how stupid it sounds like, how impossible it sounds like, this is mostly the right voice, especially if it sounds impossible. And this is the best, what I think I can say.
Yeah, which is really the core of the work that you do too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And actually the core of the work that we do as well, like I always teach business, and of course there's strategy, and no business is cookie cutter. And I think we really, as spiritual women and as soulful entrepreneurs, building a business in a way that works from a strategic standpoint, but also really following our intuition when it comes to taking action. And there's, different ways of doing that for all of us. What's right for one isn't necessarily right for the other. So I think you're right. It's so important.
Yes. And if we want to create something new and something magical and something which never was there before, we have to think this way and not think like the normal route everyone is going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if anyone out there watching this is thinking about joining Soul Business Accelerator and hasn't yet, what would you say about it, or what would be your share to them?
I think, out of my experience, of course, there's nothing you can do wrong. Like, there's so much to learn, and there are definitely so many results on so many different levels, which carry on for months and even years, that you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that.
Thank
And
you.
then I think I kind of want to touch too on, just, you and I were talking before I hit record on, because I think a lot of times what we hear too from women is, right now I'm dealing with a lot in my life, or there's a lot going on, or this doesn't feel like the right time. And, you and I were just talking about, because you're going through a situation right now where your soul dog is, kind of back and forth between, is she going to stay here, or is she going to transition? And it's a huge period of grief for you, and you're holding a lot. And me personally, the last 2.5 years going through my divorce and really breaking apart my entire family and starting to rebuild it in a way that feels so foreign, there really just never is a right time. I don't think, like, life is always going to be life. And how from your perspective, and then I can share mine, how do you balance holding this grief and also still being able to show up as a guide and a mentor for your clients?
I love this question. I think one thing is like the darkness I experience right now, like it's the feminine. So I remind myself when I go deep into here, I will grow, and I focus on the growth which will happen through it, and not like putting myself down on top. And at the same time, in my business, at the beginning, of course, it was a struggle because I needed to adjust like all these realizations and news I got about the situation. But I realized that my work, as it's my soul work, is nourishing me, and it's giving back in this huge time of grief and confusion. Like it's giving back to me, and it's like my moments of being out of the situation and my moments of joy. And as I created an authentic soul business, the people I attract also understand it, and they're also lovely. I work with the most amazing women in the world. I'm like, why nothing is coming, or something is criticizing my work. Like it's so weird, because you're used, when you work in a normal job, you're used to this, but I just work with the most amazing and loving women, and I get so much love from my clients. It's such a gift.
Well, I feel the same, clearly, because you are like, I just love my clients too. And I think also, to touch on what you said, is, this darkness and this grief and this pain and what you are feeling is a lot of that feminine. And I look at that too as like, when I started my business, the week before I started my coaching program, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I was still breastfeeding my baby at the time. And I had a toddler, and it was like the scariest, most intense time of my life. And I remember thinking, God, I have no business starting a business right now. And I did anyway. And what it did for me, and I look at all of the, cancer and divorce and just all of the things that I've gone through over the last 5 years since starting my business, it's kept me so connected as a human to myself and to my own pain and my vulnerability and my compassion. And I built my business from a very authentic, surrendered, genuine place. Because I think, when you're going through pain and such hardships, and you're allowing yourself to feel it, you just are coming from a very different place than if you're just building a business for the sake of building a business and bringing in money. And I think none of us are doing that. And so in actuality, what I see is, if you want to build a true soul aligned business from the place of your deepest heart and most inner connection, do it while you are going through grief and pain, because you're going to show up from a very surrendered place.
Yes, I love this. And the most beautiful things were growing within me and in my world and in my business while I was going through grief the last few years. So I think even my business got born through grief. So
Right.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I adore you. Do you want to tell, where can we find you? What's your website? Are you on social media? Just share with us where you are so that we can find you, please.
Yes. So my website is, I hope I say it right in English. It's www.nalinawild.com. And my Instagram is @munes.temple or @nalinawild. And you can just find me and reach out to me anytime.
Yeah, amazing. You're such a gorgeous soul on all levels, and I just love you, and I'm so proud of you, and you've come so far, and you should be so proud of yourself too. And the thing that I love about you is just, you've stayed in your integrity, and you've done this in a way that just really speaks true to your work as well. You've always stayed really authentic through this entire process, and that's something that's really honorable.
Thank you. I think there's no other way, but
I think there's no other way either. There are a lot of people out there that are otherwise, but usually not in my space.
Thank you, Erica, for everything.
Yeah, thank you.